Hey Chris, this is Tim here with Expert Power Wash. Wanted to shoot you a personalized video going through this skid, explaining everything that's here, some basics on how to operate it and how to use it. I probably won't be able to cover everything here with it being inside the shop, but this thing's getting ready to ship today, and I'm excited for you to get this. This thing turned out really nice. There is a full walkthrough video of this exact skid over on the channel. I did that walkthrough before we added the third hose reel there. But just an overview, this thing came out really, really nice. There's the soft wash system there. So let's go to the back here and talk about some of the components, and then we'll get into some of the operational things. So this right here is your Mighty M 5.5 gallon a minute gear drive pressure washer. Yeah, the gear drive unit there, and then the pump there on the back. That's the high quality Comet pump. So let's talk about this thing for a few minutes, and then we'll jump into some of the other stuff. So the pressure washer here, we usually run this thing wide open. We rarely adjust this. So all the way over to the rabbit, that would be low idle. We rarely idle these engines down. This right here is your choke. Let's see if I can get in a little bit closer. Put the choke on to start it. Once it's started, move that to off the choke. The fuel is right here. And just to note, I'm going to turn this off for shipping. And this thing has very little fuel in it. We ran it just for testing. But make sure you watch this video. Hopefully you're going to watch this video before you try to start this up. But the fuel will be off. This is an electric start. So like I was saying, turn on the choke, turn the key. Your engine's going to fire up, turn the choke off. There's your fuel tank up here. We prefer to use 92 premium fuel in these things. They just seem to run a little bit better. You have two keys here. These will be zip tied to the skid before it ships out. Air cleaner box. Here's your exhaust here. Make sure you don't have anything over on this side or sitting here where this could be an issue. If you did want to set something here on the skid, you can always get an exhaust deflector. Those are like 12 bucks on Amazon if that's something, if you're going to have something here sitting on the skid. This is your battery. So there is a marine grade battery in there. This pressure washer does have a recharging system on it, but I wouldn't rely on this system here to keep your battery charged unless you was running the pressure washer quite a bit daily. But it doesn't hurt to put this thing on a trickle charger once every couple days or so. Just make sure it's topped off. If you had a long day of soft washing, I would probably just put that on charge and top it off anyways. Your fuse is inside the box. So if you ever run across an issue to where you've completely lost power on your pump, and there's your soft wash pump there, most likely it's going to be that fuse. And that'll just be right in the box. Take the cap off. It's a regular automotive fuse. It's going to be a 30 amp. There's your on and off switch to turn the pump on and off. There's the pump back there. This one has quick connect fittings. If you ever need to change the pump, simply push those quick connects down, pull the hose out. You can see the two stainless bolts there. There's two more on the other side. Those are on a peg system, so you just take those two bolts off, take it off the other side, and then you can simply pull this off and then unplug it from power and change it out. These pumps typically, if you get 3 months out of them, that's on the low side. That's completely normal. We got guys that are getting about a year out of these. That doesn't mean that everybody will get a year out of it. Like I said, if you can get 90 days out of it, these things make a lot of money. They are a consumable item, and they will go bad over time. So it doesn't hurt to have a backup pump. If you're wanting to get something like that from us, let us know. We can get that order going for you. All right, let's jump over into the soft wash system. This right here is a soft wash hose. These are the nozzles. A common mistake that I see is I'll see people take these nozzles and try to use them on the pressure washer. These are sized for the soft wash system only. So these are all stainless steel. So you got the 0 degree, 15 degree, 25 degree, and then 40 degree. That's called the J-rod, quick connect. Be careful with this gun. Don't drag it. Don't drop it off roofs. This is a polypropylene, so chemical resistant, but it could also be prone to cracking. This is one of those things I would have an extra one on hand as well. They're about 32 bucks. Again, you could put that with the pump order if that's something that you want to have. But the name of the game when you're out in the field running these things, you want to be able to stay working and reduce some of those things that would make you have downtime, like a pump, a fuse, a gun. You want to have extra fuel with you, of course. But those are just little things that'll keep you rolling if it's something little on a job versus having to shut down, roll up hoses, then drive and go get those things. All right, let's talk about this. So this is the mixer here. This is your soap. This is off here. And these are a little sticky unless there's fluid running through them. This one right here is all the way on. We keep the water usually all the way on. And then this is your bleach. So that is off. I'm trying to look through the camera here and look at the thing at the same time. So that's about 1% there. And there's numbers on here. And you can go all the way to a 6%. And that's typically where you're going to be with a roof. And you'd want to bump this on. And there's no certain ideal number. Well, I wouldn't say ideal number. This would be ideal for me to be right in here, like right after 1 or so. I like just a little bit of soap. I don't like to blow through the soap. If you're going to run this wide open, you're going to blow through a lot of extra soap and a lot of extra money. Some guys will run no soap. If it's a steeper roof, you can kick the soap on a little bit more. Like I said, this is all going to come down to preference. So I'm going to turn this off for now. Like I said, water's all the way on, bleach is all the way on. This would be ideal for a roof cleaning. Let's talk about this valve here. So if you look at the way that this goes to the bleach tank. Make sure I'm showing you right here. Here we go. This one goes to the bleach tank, this one goes to the water, and this one follows all the way around over to here. What this valve does is it just calls for either water or bleach going into this bleach valve. This is simply for rinsing. So if you were up here, this valve is going to pull bleach. When you're all done, you would turn it to water. Even if you were like, say you're washing a house and you had it like on 1%, when you go on the rinse cycle, you want to open this all the way up. That's going to allow full flow through this valve. Soap off. Obviously you don't want to rinse out your pump and be pulling soap at the same time. Like I said, this valve rarely gets touched. It's almost always on. But this would be your rinse out. One thing to note here, as I change these valves and move these around, this is just changing this up like I just did. That's going to allow air bubbles into the system. Completely normal, but when you first get this thing, run it for about 5 minutes or so. It's going to spit and sputter. That's just from the tanks changing. Obviously, this is your chem tank here. There's no bleach in there. We can't ship that with bleach. So when your tanks are empty and there's nothing in the lines that will allow air in there, that is another thing to note. Let me show you here. Speaking of air. So your mixer is pulling out of these tanks. You have filters in the bottom of these. Let's see if I can capture it on camera. So see that filter down there? That's about 1.5 inches or so off the bottom. You let your liquids run too low and you pull air, you're going to have some performance issues. So I think the filter's probably sitting this high off the bottom of the tank. So really, even at 5 gallons, you're out, because it's going to go below that filter and pull air. So just long story short, make sure you got plenty of fluids in there, bleach, water. Same thing goes for the soap. These systems work very well, but again, they can be finicky if you're pulling air. A couple maintenance things to be aware of on these things. There's no foolproof system to where we can build them as good as we possibly can. This is Banjo, this is high quality. These are our new manifold blocks. These are like super dense manifold blocks here, super high quality. All of our fittings are Banjo fittings. These are CPVC, which is an upgraded material over the Schedule 80 stuff. Viton seals, all that good stuff. So this is the best you can get. Same thing for the check valves. We don't use a stainless steel check valve. There's a stainless steel spring in, I'd say 90% of the other builds that are out there. We use a Hastelloy. It costs a little bit more money, but it's going to last a little bit longer. With all that being said, you're still going to run into maintenance issues. So anytime you're spraying bleach or dealing with chemicals, it's going to gas out. Chlorine's going to find a spot for it to escape. You're going to get leaks. Not as common on the water or the soap, but this one here, you want to look for white stuff. So as bleach drips out, it's a liquid, and then as it dries, the byproduct of bleach is salt. So you're going to see a little white, a little bit of white. Not going to hurt anything, but you start seeing like wet stuff, and the white salts are starting to build up. You have a leak. So, like I said, common areas are there. The bottom, sometimes you can get a leak here. You just want to keep an eye on that stuff. Like I said, leaks and air are the enemy of these 12-volt systems. So it's just, again, another one of those maintenance things. Make sure that you're keeping up on that and keep this thing running at its optimal. Another thing I recommend is once a year, pull this thing off, or if you want to pull your truck into a shop or a garage, completely take these all out. So do a video, pictures of how it was. It's a pretty simple system. Take this all out, clean all of these joints. You could even put in new barbs and fittings if you want. The check valves are usually okay. If you have to replace a metering valve, let me rephrase that. This is the check valve. I'm referring to the metering valves. The metering valves are usually okay. If you're going to replace one, it's most likely going to be this one. They're 95 bucks. These check valves right here, I believe they're 21 bucks each. So you can see it's just a small amount of money to keep this thing rebuilt and running at its optimal. But I recommend a rebuilding once a year, as well as making sure that you're inspecting all your hoses to make sure that they're in good shape. This is high quality Curitech, but again, depending on how busy you are and how often you're running it, like I said, bleach will tear down the fittings and wreak havoc on it eventually. Couple other maintenance things. This right here is a crimp fitting. This is a 1/2 inch to the 1/2 inch. These fittings can get gummed up. So if you have a local hydraulic shop, what I recommend is cutting this off once a year and just getting a new fitting crimped on here. These things can corrode up quite a bit, and then it just screws under your gun. So you have a crimp fitting here, and then all the way under this hose where it connects into the hose reel. Those two things I recommend once a year as well. That'll just keep you running and not having to worry about issues. If you ever get an issue to where the pump will not pull and it just seems like it's constantly running and you can't get it to prime, simple little fix for that. Pull this hose off here. This is coming from the outlet of the pump, and just leave this loose and turn on your pump. You're going to get a bunch of liquid that squirts out of this. Once you get that flowing, because it's hard for it to prime and run all the way through this hose, so it's a little trick. Pull this off, run your pump. Once you get that flowing, connect it back to this barb here, and that's how you prime your pump. That would be if you're switching a pump or you had hoses off and you're trying to get it to run and it just won't run. Little tip there. All right, what else can I show you here? So this is on quick connects. So if you ever wanted to click in like a downstream injector, these are all stainless. You have 100 feet of pressure hose here. Some people like these with 200 feet. This one comes with 100. So if you'd like more, let us know. We can send you out more with your order, with your pump and your gun. You got 100 feet of Flexilla hose there. I didn't mention this. This is 200 feet of your soft wash hose. And if I didn't mention the pressure washer, that is a 5.5 gallon a minute, 3,000 PSI. You got your 7-gallon soap tank here. Make sure whatever soap that you're using a good high quality. We sell our stuff. If you'd like our stuff, I'll give you a little tour over here if you're not familiar with our shop. This is our apple suds here. This stuff is 5X, which means that this 1 gallon container can make 5 gallons of ready to use soap. This stuff is typically 40 bucks, but it's 40 bucks for 5 gallons. So getting it concentrated like this, it's a lot easier for us to ship this out to our customers across the United States. Saves a ton of money versus just sending out a ready-to-use soap. This stuff has a neutral pH, it has the ability to clean on its own, and it does boost bleach. The big key, though, that it's safe to be used with bleach. If you use like a laundry soap or something like that in your soap tank, it can kill your bleach over time. It can also backfeed into your bleach tank if one of the check valves fail. And using a low quality soap is just going to kill that stuff. Using something that's good that has the ability to boost the bleach is just going to make it clean better. This is your drag. So if you want the hose to not reel out as fast, turn these here. That'll tighten it down a little bit. Another maintenance item, check these swivels. They're about 75 bucks, something like that. Really, it's a pretty low cost of replacement. If it was me, I would replace this once a year too with your maintenance. These are all little tricks and tips and secrets in the industry that over our years of washing that I learned. Usually people that are having issues are the people that are not cutting these and doing the simple things. Like if you go to a crimp shop or a little hydraulic shop, this will cost you like 20 bucks. That's what we charge. I think it's pretty common. 75 bucks. Rebuild your mixer. Those little things, that'll keep this thing humming along pretty well. Let's talk about oil changes on this thing. So after the first 50 hours, it's recommended to change your oil. That is going to be 10W30. We like a Honda oil or a small engine power equipment oil. There's a lot of different options that you can use. One important thing to note on this pressure washer, there is 3 different oils. So right there you have, in the silver thing right there, that is a 90 weight gear oil that goes in there. And then on the back one here, this is the pump. There is a 30 weight non-detergent oil that goes into that. So there's sight glasses on those. Don't fill them up past the sight glasses. Another little tip is get one of those oil extractors from Harbor Freight, or if you have another store that has them, excuse me, you can actually pull the oil out from the top. It's a lot easier on these mini skids to do it that way. Just do it when the engine is warm. That way you're able to pull it out a lot easier. What you're looking at back there, that is the 1-inch drain hose with the ball valve on the end. That's so you can drain out all your water and you don't have to travel with that excess liquid. After you get this set up into your truck or your trailer, however you're setting it up, you can pull that hose out there and kind of route it however you want. Typically those will hang off the back of a truck and kind of roll up onto the side. All right. Hudson float valve under here. I'm going to take you over and show you one of our Hudson float valve assemblies on the wall. So that'll give you a good example on how that works and some of the maintenance concerns there. This is your bypass. So when you let off of the pressure washer gun, your pressure washer is going to bypass back into the tank. What this does is it creates a big loop of recirculation, keeps your pressure washer running nice and cool. The way that we plumb these up, you've probably seen our videos, but we use uniseals. That way that the hoses are running through, you're not having to deal with potential fail points here. Let's see. I think we covered about everything except for that Hudson float valve. I'm going to take you over to our wall here on the other side, and I'll go through some of the Hudson float valve maintenance stuff. All right. So let's pull one of these out. Sorry for the long video. Hopefully it's detailed for you. Last thing we want to do is get you set up with one of these skids that we build and have you not set up for success. of fumbling here one-handed. Oh, one tip I did not tell you about is make sure that when you're turning on the spigot at the customer's house, let the garden faucet run for a couple seconds. What that's going to do is going to blow out all the bugs and the debris, so that way you're not pushing it into your system. Speaking of which, there's a little insert in here. This acts as a filter. You know, it's not a really fine mesh filter, but it's going to grab everything that could potentially get into your tank. If you're turning on your garden spigot at your customer's house every time, you're going to have very minimal things. And I just dropped that. We'll get it after the video. So the way that this works is as the water fills up, it's going to push this thing up. So you can see as this pushes up, it's going to stop the flow of water. As the water, you use the water, that lets that go, and then the water can flow again. A common thing, these things can get jammed up or lodged to the side. You can simply put your hand into the tank, and the way that we have these set up, these are reachable. Just move it with your hand, jiggle it around, unlodge it. Another thing, these things can work loose, and what I see even more common is it'll unscrew over time and vibration. We don't turn these super tight because we want this to be able to be a maintenance item, and then this thing falls off and drops into the tank. When that happens, obviously your water's not going to shut off. So a couple little maintenance things on the Hudson float valve, but like I said, that filter in there, make sure you check that every couple months or so. Or if you start to see slow water flow, it's most likely that's going to be the issue. All right, I think that's it. If you have any questions for us or we can support you in any way on this new piece of equipment, give us a call. My direct email is tim@expertpowerwash.com. We have a great staff here. Myself, Chris, Ellie, my wife, Christina, Cameron and Dylan, our build guys. We're here to help, whatever you need. We appreciate your purchase, and we hope you enjoy the skid and it makes you lots of money. All right, thanks again.